That was a great conversation.
What are your thoughts hearing him talk about development?
When you want to do a deal and you need $12 million, that to almost everybody is like, this is impossible.
We get into it. When you are inviting people to join in an opportunity, like a commercial real estate deal, your reputation suggests that you can be trusted,
Right.
as opposed to the opposite. Just a great conversation about the development industry, which I've flirted with just a little bit.
Right.
It's risky and it's lucrative and it's hard. And the people that do it have my utmost respect. It's tremendously entrepreneurial. I bet there's a tremendous amount of satisfaction when you drive by something and think, I built that.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah. And he showed us how we did it from the first one, how we got the money from the first one, and how to keep it simple.
We invite you to continue listening with our interview with my good friend Blake Richey, CCIM, out of Bowling Green, Kentucky, and how he's become and transitioned into a developer doing multifamily deals all over the southeast. So,
yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Let's do it. Here we go.
When we hadn't hit record yet.
Right. I didn't want to get to know you too much before we hit record.
Yeah. Well, we learned about our basketball careers.
That's right. Yeah. That's our and
Bo's record.
That's right.
My
Scoring record for Church League, 43 points.
Without context, talking about my record could mean a lot of different things. And so I wanted... This episode is sponsored in part by the Massimo Group. Are you a commercial real estate broker looking to boost your business? The Massimo Group is the world's premier coaching organization, transforming the careers of brokers just like you, just like it did for me. Visit www.massimo-group.com today to get started and take your career to the next level. This episode is also brought to you by Site to Do Business, commercial real estate's most advanced toolkit, providing commercial real estate professionals like me with premier data, mapping, and marketing tools to win business and revolutionize decision-making. Visit stdb.com to learn more.
Well, welcome to Commercially Speaking. I'm Timmy Barron, ADHD.
And I'm Bo Barron, CCIM.
And this is the Commercial Real Estate Podcast where Bo teaching me everything about commercial real estate investing, brokerage. I knew nothing at the beginning. I'm an actor, comedian. I'm the co-founder of Tisby, All Disc, No Balls. It's a great game. And Bo is the owner and operator, director of Barron Commercial Group, also runs the Hearthstone Fund, CCIM instructor, and just an all-round great dude. It's really good. Yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, we've got a guest today.
We do.
Tell me.
Let me introduce you to my friend Blake Richey, also a CCIM.
Yes.
Out of Bowling Green, Kentucky, which is about an hour south of us. And so he made the drive up here this morning to join us in person in the global headquarters of Commercially Speaking.
That's right.
Love it.
Yeah. And I can say global because we had an interview yesterday, the day before.
2 days ago.
With a dude in Australia.
Oh, wow.
That's right.
So, yeah, and we've done Canada before, so we're
cool.
we're global, baby.
Yeah, and Isaac Grant,
Yeah,
UK.
from the UK.
Yeah, I mean, he's in Portland now, but yeah that's right.
whatever.
Yes, we're global, baby.
That's right.
We're global, baby. That's the point. Yes.
Yeah. But Blake and I met, I think it was at like one of those Kentucky, Tennessee
That's
ICSC
exactly right.
things.
Yeah, it was.
Prior
2006, 2007.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Yeah. Because way back when, we were both brokers.
That's
we were
right.
both trying to do deals. And
Yep.
And
We were
now
trying to do a
neither
little
one of
retail
us-
brokerage at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you from Bowling Green?
No, I grew up in Central City,
Central City.
about 30 miles south of here.
Oh yeah. So
I've been in Owensboro all my life.
Give me a bit of your journey from what led you up until this point of where you're at, and were you always interested in commercial real estate? Did you fall into it on accident, like almost everybody we talked to? Was it part of, was it in the family?
Yeah.
Give us like a
It was not in the family. So I grew up on a farm over in Central City. We had a couple thousand acres, grain farm, and that's all I did. I worked on the farm with my dad, loved it, and just really enjoyed that lifestyle. We had a lot of good memories and a lot of good times together. And then I was about halfway through my last year at Western, and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. I'd interviewed for an insurance job, I'd done this and done that, and a friend of my dad's told me, he said, you should think about being a real estate appraiser. So I explored it a little bit, graduated Western, started the fall of 2001 with APAS Weichel in Louisville, getting my certification to be a real estate appraiser.
Yeah.
So I did that for about a year, And then in 2002, I got my broker's license. I got my real estate license, and then started in 2003 at RE/MAX.
Oh, okay.
And then started as a residential agent. And then kind of like Bo and I talked about, 2006, 2007, was doing some more commercial work. And then now I've basically transitioned to a developer.
Okay.
Yeah, probably since 2014, 15 timeframe.
Oh, okay.
85% of my day is spent developing.
Oh, wow.
I still run a brokerage. I've got 7 agents.
Nice.
So I broke away from RE/MAX in 2013. I just wanted to have a small shop where I could work, and I did that for a few years. And then some agents like, oh, we like the idea of this. Mm-hmm. Low overhead. They don't get a whole lot from me except when they get in a tough situation. I started that, got 6 or 7 agents there now, and then now I'm, like I said, doing mostly development, multifamily development.
Okay.
Yeah, we're building apartment complexes, 250 unit, garden style apartment complexes now. But I still enjoy the brokerage. It kind of keeps me in the game a little bit, kind of what's going on in the market, just helping them out. Somebody helped me get started.
Right.
Yeah. I had a mentor when I started at RE/MAX, so I just want to be that to other people coming into the business.
Yeah. Well, we haven't talked to too many developers, right? Or
I can't think of one, really.
Yeah. I can't either.
I mean, I flirted with it a little bit.
Yeah.
And expanded on a self-storage facility, but that's really the only thing I've ever done.
Yeah. So what was that?
You would not call me a developer. In fact, you should not, and I don't want to be a developer.
Okay.
Probably for all the things that he's going to, like, my skill set doesn't line up. It's intricate and detailed and...
Yeah, and like we have talked about it a few times with Brad Arns because Brad Arns,
yeah,
he
did
does
some,
yeah, he's a developer.
Okay.
And but we can't count him. So I'm interested to know, like, the bridge from when you were doing brokerage to, like, what was that spark of like, I want to move into development, and what does that take to?
Yeah, so when the 2008 comes along, everything slows down. You start looking for other opportunities.
Right.
What you do on a daily basis completely just changes. So I looked and I bought my first investment property. Mm-hmm. I had a couple of rental houses, but this is what I consider my true first investment property. I bought a small self-storage facility.
Okay.
I bought it, got it going, made some improvements to it, raised the rents, and then that was in 2010. About the time my second son was born, I had to this is a good story. I had to drop my wife off at the hospital.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, I'll be right back.
Oof.
I've got to go over to the attorney's office and sign a few things. I was basically signing the closing documents.
Oh, my God.
So I always tell that story.
Oh, my God.
Made it back to the hospital in plenty of time. It's no big deal.
Yeah, okay.
But it wasn't our first one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's
this was our second one. Second time, it's a little, you can get away with that a little bit better. So I don't
know if I would have been able to. Maybe.
I pulled it off.
Yeah.
Maybe you can let me know later if that would have worked for us.
Well, so how many kids do you have?
4.
You have 4 kids?
Yeah, we got 4 kids.
And that was the second one?
Second one.
Yeah.
So that's really what got me into the ownership side. And then bought a couple other deals kind of coming out of the recession. And I would say in 2014 is really where I got started from a development side, building and constructing. And I was brokering a deal. I was thinking about this on the way over here today. I was brokering a deal for 66 duplex lots. Had 3 guys going to buy the deal. They were all splitting it up. One guy had a situation where he couldn't complete his part of the deal. He had a family situation come up, and it was understandable. And I can remember sitting in the banker's office trying to figure out what we were going to do, and he goes, well, why don't you do the deal? And I'm like, I can't do that deal. I don't have the money to put down. I don't have all these things. I was coming up with excuses. He's like, we'll loan you the money. Do this, this, and this. And he started guiding me along. So that was 24 duplexes. So I built those over a period of like 2 years. And then I took that and transitioned that into the first phase of our first big multifamily deal, which was 72 units. And we did know what we were doing.
Yeah.
I mean, we laugh about it today. We built it on a shoestring budget and just whatever we could to make it work. And it took us a year to build 72 units. Now we can build 120 units in a year.
Oh, wow.
Because we figured out the process and the time frames and the planning. And like Bo said, the details are intricate.
Yeah.
You just don't show up one day and just put a shovel in the ground or start doing site work. You got to have all your plans ready, your permits, and then makes the process go smoother.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I got, in that 2014, 2015 time frame, started building some things, and it's just evolved and transitioned into the next deals got to be a little bit bigger, raise a little bit more money, new partners, all these things.
Yeah.
My first deal kind of happened that same way.
Yeah.
First thing I bought.
Yeah.
I think it was 2012. I was going to syndicate it, but I'd never bought anything before.
Right.
And all my investors bailed at the last second, and they should have. And my dad came in the office and he's like, "What's wrong with you?" Because I was upset about it,
Sure.
He's like, "You like the deal?" "Yeah, I like the deal." He's like, "Why don't you do it?" Don't have the money, don't have, like all the excuses. And he's like, "Go talk to your granddad and go talk to the banks. They're probably going to fight over you." And I'm thinking, you look at my balance sheet, I'm not bankable. And he's thinking they're going to want to get their hooks into my kid, which is essentially what they did, and ended up doing the deal.
Yeah.
Figured it out.
Yeah.
After how to deal with it. My wife and I cleaned a couple apartments. My sons and I were ripping up carpet. It was a little bit of a family affair there for a little while.
But those experiences are what you remember.
Yeah.
And kind of how you got started and what it took to get, what it takes to get started.
Yeah.
And people look at it and go, that's a daunting task or a daunting project. I can't do that. But in reality, you can. I've always had this motto is, if the deal's good enough, the money will show up from the bankers or investors or partners. If you got a good deal, people always love a good deal.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's real estate or they're going to get a good deal on a car. Everybody loves a good deal, right?
Right.
Yep.
So that's always, if we've always had a good deal, I always felt like we had momentum that we could put it together.
Right. Yeah.
You can't take somebody a bad deal.
No. I mean, you can.
You know enough now from doing the podcast.
Yeah, that's right. I should go.
You're not going to do
this.
You're not going to do a bad deal.
No, you're not going to do a bad deal. No.
Well, you'd be able to spot a bad deal.
I think so. Just do a little underwriting.
Look at there.
Yeah, look at the numbers. Yeah. Make sure there's enough margin for error.
Gotta have margin for error.
Yeah. That's it. There you go. Nice and easy.
Well, do this for Timmy's benefit. Describe to him the difference of like being a developer versus being a construction company. It's not the same thing.
It's not the same.
Could be the same thing.
Could be.
But in your case, it's not. In most developers don't have construction companies as well.
Yeah.
Talk us through that a little bit.
Act like I know nothing.
Okay. So I'm glad you brought this up. So
Since you
there's
don't
a
have to
lot of
pretend.
large-scale multifamily developers that are also contractors. I'm just a developer. My job is to go find a market where there's job growth, back to 102.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
baby.
Site to do business.
Site to do business.
Yes.
So we're finding markets where there's job growth. That's the number one thing we're looking for. Then we go find a site that we like. That's the developer's role. Go find a site that you like, that you can sell to everybody. You can sell to your banker, to your investors, to your entire team. Is it easy to develop? Is it a good location? All these things. So then once you kind of get a site acquired or under contract, you come back, get your civil engineer going, get your architect going, and get all your plans. You spend probably 6 months getting all your plans ready. I mean, I'm describing a deal that we're working on right now. We just put a piece of land under contract a month ago. We're in the process right now. The civil engineer is getting ready to take us to zoning next month. After that, we'll get our detailed development plan approved. Architect will get done about May. At that point, the contractor comes in and takes over.
Okay.
Bidding the job, pricing it, writing all the construction contracts with our subs, so on and so forth. And then that's the process when he takes over. So the construction company is completely different. They come in, once all the plans are done, their job is to build it as quick as they can for the least amount of money, so you can get it up and going.
Gotcha.
Which is it's a balancing act, right?
Right.
Because I mean, you really get three things in a construction job. What I learned, you get the speed of it. You can build it fast. You can get quality, or you can save on price. You only get two of those things. You don't get all three. Our thing is we like to build these things as quickly as we can, because we've learned that the quicker you get them turned, the quicker you get rental income coming in. You're not, all these things are not working against you. Interest at the bank, loss of rents, all these things. So we like to come in and have a plan, a very detailed plan, a very detailed budget. We will spend 6 months working on these things. When we start, it's just basically, I'm not going to say it's on autopilot, but it feels like that. We've got a job right now, just for context, it's a $22 million job, and we've got $200,000 in change orders.
What's a change order?
So they come in, it can go two ways. The developer owner can say, hey, I want this done differently. So they come in, it's a change to the original contract.
I see, yeah.
Or sometimes the contractor goes, hey, we've had a price increase. That's the news you don't want to get.
Right, yeah.
Hey, COVID's hit. We can't get any electrical equipment. It's going to cost $50,000 more. That's a change order that you don't like.
Yeah.
Most of ours are self-inflicted. I'll say that.
Okay.
Every now and then, we've had a couple that weren't, that we just had to deal with. Most of the time, we're making a small change here. We don't like the way that looks. Let's do it right the first time.
Yeah.
So that's really the role of the developer. You're coming back, you're acquiring the land, you're getting all the plans put together, and you got to take this thing from conception all the way to CO.
Yeah.
You can't say CO.
I'm sorry.
Right.
Certificate of Occupancy.
Yeah.
Aha.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm
speaking
developer language.
That's why
Right.
I'm here.
That's why he's here.
Now, let me reframe what he just said, because what he just took you through was his version of the strategic market analysis,
Okay.
that strategic model. And we did a whole episode on that. And
Yeah.
it has those 4 feasibility studies. You remember what they are?
Yes, I do. Location and site,
Yep.
legal,
Political and legal.
and legal. Will they let me do it? The price, do I have the money?
It's the financial analysis.
Yeah, financial analysis.
Like,
and then
will it pencil? Like, will it
pencil?
work?
And then comparative analysis? Is that-
Competitive analysis.
Yeah, competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much what he just, we analyze the market. Right?
Yeah.
So not only is there job growth, but you're also looking at rents, vacancies.
We are.
What are the competitive
What's the
set?
inventory?
Who are we going to be competing against?
Correct.
All
Yeah.
that stuff. So he's going to build it on paper. He's going to make sure if I build it, I can make money. If he can't make it work on paper, he can't make it work in real life.
Not everything is field of dreams.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
No.
Is there margin for error here? Can I be wrong and this still work?
Yeah.
And he's talking about civil engineers going to do the development plan and go for zoning and all that political and legal stuff, and then location and site. I was interested. You used the phrase, we're going to find a site we like. Describe the site you like.
The site I like it has to be something that I would drive home to. Like, I don't like driving through something to get to something else, or having to not having the correct mix of stuff around us. Like, I like to have a neighborhood of homes next to us, maybe next to some retail or medical. I don't really want to be next to an industrial park.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to live next to an industrial park.
Yeah.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So why would somebody else?
Right.
And then it's just finding the area where there's good schools. That's just a nice place to live.
No, look, and what he just described, we have a word for that. You
Yeah.
remember? Linkages.
Oh, yeah, linkage.
So
I like
all
that
the
word.
things he described, like retail, medical, like where are you going to shop? Where are you going to get your groceries?
Correct.
Right.
Where's your doctor? How? Like, the most important one that he just mentioned was the schools. I think I've told this story on the podcast before, but we were going to build a house years ago, and we found a site we liked. It was in the neighborhood that Beamer lived in when he was here.
Yeah.
Deer Valley, I think.
Okay.
Out there.
Yeah.
And when we went, put a down payment on a lot. We were going to build a house in that neighborhood, and it was because it was in the right school system.
Sure.
Now, the right school system here was, my wife liked the schools our kids were in, and she didn't want to move them.
Yeah.
We find out a couple of days later that they told us incorrectly.
Oh.
And in fact, we were going to have to go to different schools. They were wrong about it. And so we got our money back, and we didn't go there, and we went and found a lot on Alexandria where we ended up buying by mom and dad's house that was in the same, like that school is a huge linkage.
Yeah.
The other one I don't think you mentioned that really drives the needle is, where's the employment center? Because most of those people are going to have jobs. So if you can find a site that you like to drive home to that's not next to the industrial park, or something that smells, or that is loud, or that it affects the quality, and you can get to your job and grocery shop and the schools. The linkages support the demand that you need.
So back to what you said about the employment center. We feel like if we're in that town, we're not in big markets. If we're in that town, the employment center is not too far away.
Yep.
So we don't really think about, we want to be in the best location in that town. Maybe it's a 15-minute drive, which is, Owensboro, Bowling Green, Elizabethtown. Those towns are not that big.
Yeah. You
so
can almost go anywhere.
You can go anywhere you want.
Talk us through what your civil engineering actually does. Like, what is that civil engineer? Like, what does he do? What function does he fill in the process?
And how do you find a good one, and what do you look out for in the bad one?
The good ones are the ones that you have to wait for.
That's a very good point. Oh. Yeah, very good point. We've been fortunate. We've hired a lot of good civil engineers. We've asked around to get good referrals, and we've had to wait on them. And it takes a little bit longer to get those plans.
And you're waiting on them because they're working for other people.
They're working for other
busy.
people.
Okay.
They're busy. Yeah, they're busy. They just take a tract of land, a parcel of land, and go, all right, what's the topography look like? That's where they start with, the topo. How's this land drain? Where does it naturally drain to? Then they start creating a grading plan. What makes the most economical sense to get this thing developed, where we can get the grade, where we're not moving massive amount of dirt if we don't have to, or bringing dirt in or taking dirt out. So that's the first thing they're looking at. The second thing that they're looking at is they're coming in and developing their utility plan for all of your water, sewer, gas, and then all your stormwater, all your runoff. They got to create that plan as well. Phone and internet, which is secondary to them because those utility companies come in and kind of do some of that planning. Mm-hmm. So they're creating their utility plan. The landscape plan after that.
Okay.
So you got to submit your landscape plan. Most planning commissions want to know, how are you going to landscape this thing? Then after that, it's just all the fine details. Where's your drive lanes? Where are they using heavy-duty asphalt like you'd use on a roadway? Where are your parking areas, parking stops, garages? They're doing all the minor things. But that's, generally speaking, that's how it works. They're taking the topo, they're looking at the grading plan, then they go to the site utilities, and they kind of put the finishing touches on it with all of the pretty stuff that you see at the end.
Oh, interesting. The landscaping thing surprised me, that was a part of the civil engineers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oversight.
Most places in their zoning requirements require a certain amount of landscaping, and it's really specific in a lot of places.
Oh, wow.
Like if you build something here, like they're going to require a certain amount of landscaping, and they spell out what it has to do. Correct. It has to be. And if you're working with a civil engineer that's familiar with that area, like they're already going to know what those requirements are, and they're just going to make it part of the plan because they know if they leave it out,
no good.
It's going to get bounced back to you and like fix that.
And if you don't do it the way you say you're going to do it, we need you to redo this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we've had that happen in the field.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to plant 10 more trees. You said you were going to plant these trees and you didn't do it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
you're in trouble.
When I expanded the self-storage facility, they required a certain amount of landscaping. Now that, I was like, come on.
Yeah, what?
Kentucky's a little weird. You probably, like, building codes are years behind.
They are.
And they adopt the building codes at the state level, and then they farm out the administration of the building codes to the local planning and zoning offices. So they have to administer what they're given by the state. So when I did this self-storage expansion, 3 or 4 years old was the building code. And it required for this climate-controlled self-storage building to be insulated as if it were office.
What?
Which made no sense.
No sense at all.
But that was the building code.
Yeah.
And pragmatics, common sense, the local planning and zoning, the ones reviewing the plans, like they're not given the option to apply common sense. They have to enforce the building codes that they're handed by the state.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if they don't, they can lose their ability to actually administer that stuff. And so everybody who does something in that town would then have to deal with the state instead of the local planning and zoning, which would be even worse. So they're put in a bad spot. And so you got a guy like me or Blake looking at them going, what sense does this make?
Right.
And they're like, sorry.
Right.
And we've had that happen a lot.
Really?
Yeah. Just recently with a parking requirement. We come in, submitted our plans, and we told them this is way overparked. We got way too many parking spots. Well, we were the first development in this town, big development. There'd been some other multifamily developments. We were the first one that they'd seen that was 216 units all at one time. So they weren't real sure of what they were seeing to be honest. We were the first ones in. The second time when we built phase 2, the parking requirement had changed. So typically, if you're at 1.9 to 2 spots per unit, per apartment unit, that's a pretty good ratio at most markets. They were at 2.2 to 2.3.
Oof.
Somewhere in between those numbers, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you start paving and putting more parking spots in, that's 10 to 15% more.
Yeah.
And it adds up. So they come back and revise their statutes after that. Which, but we didn't get the benefit of that, to your point. We just had to go with it.
Yeah.
We didn't have a choice. We couldn't. We just had to move on.
But I guess that's part of it.
It's part of playing the game.
Yeah. It's that margin of error.
Right. Yeah, that's it.
And it's a game. And I'd be interested in your take on this, but one side of the table, you've got somebody who's an entrepreneur, who's willing to put their money and other people's money where their mouth is and take risks and try to do something that not only is going to be profitable, but also serves a need. You don't build apartments unless there's demand, unless they're needed. And by the way, they're needed everywhere.
Right.
So there's a common good to multifamily development in just about any place. And so you got the entrepreneur on one side who's willing to take the risk and improve just about everything. I mean, there's going to be property tax go up. It's going to generate revenue for the city. But on the other side of the table, you've got a bureaucratic employee. Their interest is essentially following the rules and keeping their job. And I'm overgeneralizing.
Sure.
But the mindset on the other side of the table is almost completely
completely opposite.
And it can be a little frustrating.
It is.
Sometimes.
It is.
Yeah. Especially for a developer, it sounds like, right?
Yeah, because, as a developer, you're trying to cut your costs as much as you can. And then they're trying to go, hey, we want it done this way. Oh, hey, we want you to build this road. We just had that happen.
Oh.
Hey, we need you to build this road. Well, it's not in the plans. There's nothing over there. Well, we need you to go ahead and build this road. We don't have a choice.
Yeah.
If we want to get our development plan approved, we have to build the road.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And who owns the road once it's built?
The city.
Oh, so you have to do it, and then the city owns it.
The city owns it to an area that there's nothing developed on the backside. It's just future plans. But there could be
future,
right?
And so a lot of the roads get built on the backs of the developers. Now, to the city's credit, in most places,
that was so hard for you to say.
The developers don't want to own the roads.
No,
they want the city. There's no fight there on who owns the road, because if the city owns the road, they're going to maintain it. They're going to do, and the developer or the property owner does not want to do that.
Yeah,
that's right.
So that's never really an issue.
Yeah, okay.
It's who pays for the road.
Yeah, I don't want to own the road.
Right.
Yeah. I don't want to maintain the road.
No. Yeah.
I don't have to pay to build it either.
Right, but you got to.
Got to pay to build it.
I had a conversation with a city official a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about this issue of the roads, and we were working on a deal. This is happening right now. And the first developer in, this is the way the city official described it to me. He's like, Bo, you know how it is. First developer in gets a sweetheart deal, and it's the second and the third one in that has to do the stuff like the roads. And our client's the second guy in. He's probably going to get to do a road,
Yeah.
And the first guy in got the sweetheart deal and should have.
Sure.
Okay? I'm not disparaging that at all, but that's kind of the dynamic. The city's going to get their road, or they just won't approve the plans.
Well, hopefully Elon Musk is, working on that right now. Not so many regulations. So the first deal you were learning by doing.
Yes.
Yeah, the first one that you did.
Absolutely. And
so I would imagine the change order. Change order. That you had a lot in that first one.
We had some.
You had some?
Yeah, I'm gonna say some. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, well, I'm curious as to what were some of those that you learned on the job that you aren't that isn't happening now.
A easy one would be just your sidewalks, your layout of your sidewalks and pedestrian ways around your buildings. So our engineer on the first job put the minimum amount of sidewalks. So we get out there and we're like, oh, we need a sidewalk to connect over to the trash dumpster. We need a sidewalk to connect to this building. So things like that, pouring concrete, pouring sidewalks, that's not cheap.
Yeah.
Right. So that was the first one I can remember that we learned. Like, this one kind of stinks.
Yeah.
The second one was we didn't build some stuff that was ADA compliant. I think we had 4 units in that first development that had to be ADA compliant.
Four.
So the cabinets weren't done right. So we had to come back, take the cabinets out, put the correct cabinets in, counter height, stuff like that. But it was only 4 units out of 72. So it wasn't a massive mistake, but it's something that we learned the next time. Okay, let's make sure we got our ADA units laid out correctly.
Is that pretty common for a development to require a certain amount of ADA, some percentage of the units? Or
yeah, it is. Depending on the sizes of the development, 6 to 8 units.
And is that like for disability?
Disability.
Americans with Disabilities Act.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a federal.
It's federal.
Federal law.
Yeah,
it is.
That requires.
With the ADA units that you have currently, do those get filled up with people who need them, or are a lot of them left vacant? Can you rent them to people who don't have disabilities?
You can rent them. Yeah, you can rent them to anybody. They do get filled up because they're on the first floor.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody wants to be on the first floor. So we haven't had a problem of leasing our ADA units.
Yeah, okay.
And they're not that much different. The counter heights are a little bit different.
You don't have a tub.
Yeah, and you don't have a tub.
Okay.
And in a bathroom, maybe you don't have the cabinets underneath the sink. You just have a sink that's supported on the wall.
Okay.
Something like that. So it's not a huge difference. But we rent them.
Yeah.
Most people want to be on the first floor. They don't want to walk to the third floor.
Right.
So that helps a lot.
You see ADA stuff all the time when you go into any public resturm and there's rails.
Yeah.
Handhelds. That's the ADA stuff.
Right.
You're going to have enough room in there to turn a wheelchair around, so that like it's a little bit larger than you think you might need a bathroom to be, but that's for those purposes. And
It sounds like a good thing.
Landscaping probably is another thing. We touched on that earlier.
Yeah.
We didn't do enough landscaping on the first one. We had to come back and add landscaping, for loan approvals, stuff like that. Those are the biggest things that we've learned. Get a good architect, get a good engineer.
Yeah. This might be an obvious answer, but why multifamily? Is it because there's such a demand for it? Is that what?
Yeah, there's such a demand for it. And it was an easy entry point for me.
Okay.
Like I said earlier, I started with the duplexes, and that was an easy entry point. And then I scaled up and, went from 24 units to 72 units to 146 to 216.
Yeah.
And for me, multifamily's always been, there's always a need for housing.
Right.
When I started as a realtor in 2003, I was selling new construction homes. I understood the housing industry. I understood the demand for housing and what was driving all that. Mm-hmm. So housing just become more dense, with the multifamily developments. Got to have more housing, and the quickest way to get more housing quicker is apartments. Mm-hmm. You can build 200 apartments much faster than you can build 200 houses.
Right.
Yeah. And the price point. Not everybody can afford a house, so they're looking at that entry point, even if they're moving into a town. Hey, maybe I just want to rent for a year or two and then go buy a house. Maybe I'm trying to learn the area, trying to learn the market.
Yeah.
And then, we just have more of a transient. That happens. We have people that come in, they work for 2 or 3 years, then they move out, and they take a job somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So we've seen a lot of that too.
And then once you've got the certificate of occupation, is that what it is?
Occupancy.
Occupancy,
It
right?
means people can occupy it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So once you get to that point, your job is done.
No.
Yeah. So like beyond that, right?
So at that point, you have empty buildings.
That's right. Yeah. So you got to fill it up.
You got to fill it up.
And that's on you.
That's on us.
That's on the developer.
And we do our own property management.
Oh, okay.
So we have employees that do leasing, property managers. We got maintenance people. We have all that. So they'll come in and we'll lease up the property.
Yeah.
Now we try to do some pre-leasing and get ahead of it as much as we can.
Sure.
But that's a balancing act because people want to start touring. You can't tour them on a construction site.
Yeah.
All these things. So we typically try to open a building, then open the next one, open the next one. So if we got 10 buildings on a site, we're not waiting until all 10 of them are done.
Yeah.
Because it's just foolish to sit there and wait 6 to 8 months for the rest of the project to get done while you got buildings that are sitting there that you're paying utilities on, you're paying interest, you're mowing the yard around it, you're doing all these things. Let people live in it. So we'll get what's called a temporary certificate of occupancy until the entire development is done. That allows us to open buildings, and at that point we're leasing them up. We typically start with 1 or 2 buildings, then move on to the next one, then move on to the next one.
Yeah. Okay. So do most developers also manage what they develop?
Some do, some don't. It depends on the scenario.
Yeah.
We started out managing our own property, so it's just a natural fit for us. We did build a 194-unit deal in Florida in the Panhandle, and we turned that over to third-party property management. We hired somebody to do the property management. They were out of Atlanta. It worked great. They were managing at that time like 60,000 units. So I think they're at 100,000 now. So they're a big company. They have multiple layers of leadership. We felt like it was much more advantageous for them to manage it. They had more resources. They had the ability to hire somebody if your property manager leaves. They had the ability to get a maintenance guy in there. They had all these things that we didn't.
Yeah.
Plus, we were 500 miles away.
Oh, right.
Yeah, we're just not going to get in the truck and drive an hour down the road.
Yeah.
To go, oh, hey, I need to go fix this.
Right.
So that's a lot of times where people will hire a property management firm.
Gotcha.
To take over the management of a deal.
So they're managing it. You still own it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. And then there's some scenarios I'd imagine too, you develop it to sell it.
Yep. We've done that as well.
Yeah.
We just finished one last year.
All right.
That was the sole purpose, is to build it, develop it, and turn around and sell it. We hit all of our targets with a budget and a time frame, so it was all good. So yeah, go ahead and give us a round of applause. There's a lot of things that went right on that deal.
Yeah.
We call that the unicorn.
Yeah.
It is. Everything went right.
Did you have that buyer before you develop it? So you develop and it's like, okay.
We developed it. We leased it up. We got it all the way to 96% leased.
Huh.
So we were sitting there. We ran it for about 6 months.
Yeah.
So we sold it last October.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was fun to go from beginning all the way through. That's the first one that we went all the way through, and we actually sold it.
Okay.
So it was fun. I kind of hated to see it go at the time because it was like, oh, this is, everything's kind of come together, and it was such a good deal for us. But what we realized is that's allowed us to expand and grow, and we needed that.
Yeah.
To do that. We just couldn't keep everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to, I don't want to sell anything. Well, you have to sell something along the way to grow.
Right.
Can't keep every deal that you buy or develop.
Now, do you have aspirations to move beyond, I don't know if beyond's the right word, multifamily, to do other asset classes?
I would say we're going to focus on multifamily.
Yeah.
I've got a self-storage facility. We may expand that market a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
We may build a few self-storage facilities, but I hired a guy this year that he'd done a lot of self-storage development. So he understands that process. So that'd be a natural fit for us.
Yeah. Okay.
That or some industrial.
Okay.
Some flex warehouse space, something like that. I don't see us doing office space or, getting big into retail development. Okay. I think we're going to kind of stay in our lane. Self-storage.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, that's good. KISS.
That's right.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Are you out of questions?
I think so.
Well, why don't you ask him how he structures his deals?
No, I did have a question. You've got the thing built. You got to lease up all the units.
The units,
right?
Yeah.
Do you use is that a residential agent?
That's a good question.
Yeah, how do you lease
No,
it
it's not a residential agent. It's typically that somebody that has
You don't have to say it like that.
It's typically somebody that has some leasing experience. And maybe it was a residential agent one time that they're like, hey, I don't want to go sell houses, but I want to work in property management.
Yeah, okay.
So they transition over to that. But they're an employee of ours. Yeah. So we have them on salary and then a bonus commission on leasing if they hit certain targets and metrics. So it's just an employee for us. Now, the last leasing agent we hired had no real estate experience whatsoever, but she worked for a company that she did some sales in. So we brought her in, trained her, and she was one of the better leasing agents we've hired.
Wow.
So it was pretty cool to see her come in with no experience.
Yeah.
And, a property manager, actually both property managers come in and really trained her well.
What makes her so good?
Just the communication skills, just you're constantly having to communicate with people. They constantly got problems, or they got this, or they got that going on. And it's a little bit of a sales process, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you take somebody in a unit, you're selling them on why they should lease that unit.
Right.
So they have a little bit of sales experience.
Yeah. I'd imagine authenticity or really listening to them.
It is. And then once they get in the unit, then it becomes more customer service. Mm-hmm. They have to really listen and be attentive to detail and take care of their needs.
Yeah.
Don't let something go 48 hours. If they email you at 8 o'clock that night, 8 o'clock the next morning, if it's not an emergency, you need to be responding with what your plan is, right?
Yeah.
It's really simple.
Is it really simple?
That's
right.
We said that a minute ago.
Yeah.
But it's really simple.
So how do you structure a deal?
As a commercial real estate broker, your success depends on the right strategies and guidance. The Massimo Group, the world's top coaching organization for brokers, can help you scale your business and increase your income. And as a former client, I've personally experienced how their coaching can transform not only your career, but also your life. Don't wait to grow. Head to www.massimo-group.com today and see how their proven systems can work for you. This episode is also brought to you by Site to Do Business, the ultimate commercial real estate data analysis and mapping tool. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, Site to Do Business provides the data and insights you need to make informed decisions and close deals faster. Frankly, it's the tool that I use the most in my business. Access comprehensive market analysis, demographic data, and powerful mapping tools like ArcGIS, Placer AI, and flood maps all in one place. Identify the best locations for your clients, analyze market trends, and present your findings with confidence. Don't miss out on this game-changing platform. Visit stdb.com today and see how it can optimize your business. And now back to the show.
Right?
Are you interested in investing in a deal?
Well, maybe. Maybe. Yeah. I'm sitting on a whoopee cushion right now.
Oh, whoopee cushion full of cash.
That's right.
I saw it. So typically,
There it is.
we like to go and make our deal with our lender, for whoever's going to make our loan for the deal, and then we come back and we figure out, okay, we need X number of dollars on the equity side. So we have a debt and an equity side.
Okay.
The lender's the debt, equity's the investors.
So when you go to the lender, are you figuring out how much you can get, or do you have
We know typically what they're going to want from a loan to value or a debt coverage ratio standpoint. So we know what their metrics are.
But you're trying to get
as much as we can.
Yeah, gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, which is better for the investors.
Can I ask Timmy a question real quick? We just talked about debt service coverage ratio.
Yeah.
So do you remember? Like, what is the debt service coverage ratio?
DSCR. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Debt service coverage ratio. It makes sure that you have.
What's the equation?
Oh, nah.
Now think about it.
Okay.
Do you remember when we talked about it?
Yeah, I do.
So what episode was that? What were we talking about?
We're talking about net operating income.
Yeah. So what's the equation?
So you'd have net operating income, cap rate.
No.
Would not be a part of that equation.
No.
But that could help you figure out your net operating income if you want to get a step before that, right?
Sure.
So I didn't use the acronym. I didn't go DSCR. I used debt service coverage ratio. I knew Bo was going to get on to me.
Debt service. Well, net operating income, debt, the loan, the money,
Cash flow has
You're
something
right
to do with
there.
it.
cash flow, cash.
So your debt service,
Yeah.
you could also say it's your annual debt service.
Okay.
It's what you have to pay the bank every year. And so NOI divided by your annual debt service gives you that coverage ratio.
Okay.
If it's 1.0, then all your net operating income goes to the bank and nobody's happy.
Yeah.
Bank's not happy either because anything else goes wrong and they don't make what they're supposed to. So the higher it is above 1, the better off you are.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
So 1.20, 1.25 is a typical target for most lenders.
Okay.
Perfect. Because those were the two numbers we used when we did the episode. 1.2, 1.25.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he wasn't
thanks for
huge.
that.
Yeah, he wasn't. He was. Yeah.
I haven't borrowed money in a minute, so
All right.
that's where they start to get a little comfortable with the deal.
Okay, cool. So you go to the lender, you try to get as much money as you can from the lender, and then
Correct.
you figure out how much money you need
Then,
left.
yeah, then we take the equity investors and then we put them in the second part of the deal. And then at the end, we have a split between the developer and the equity investors on how the money's going to be split at the end of the day.
Okay.
So the cash flow, say if we operate this deal for 5 years and there's X number of dollars each year, then there's an agreement on how the money's split up. And then if we sell the deal, it's the same thing. You get this, we get that. And that's basically, we keep ours simple. We don't have a preferred return, then a waterfall down to this. And I'm getting deep in the weeds on this, but we keep ours simple.
Yeah.
You know, if it's 50-50, 60-40, depending on how the debt and equity balances out,
Sure.
that's a pretty good deal for both parties, considering who's putting in the money, who's putting in the work,
Right.
and how it all shakes out at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And return-wise, what we have found is a lot of times that ratio ends up being pretty close to if you do a preferred return and then you come back and do the waterfall method. I don't know if you've done much of that or not.
Well, we were looking at a deal this week, and here's how this one was structured. You got a 8% pref or preferred return. So the investors get 8% on their money first. And then that's step one. Step two, after that happens, is a return of capital. So the rest of the distributions go to a return of capital. The third step was it was split 70-30 after that.
Okay.
So after return of capital, there's 70-30 split up to a 15% IRR. And then above a 15% IRR, it's a 50-50 split.
Yeah.
And that's an example of a waterfall.
Oh, okay.
That's way more complicated to understand and figure out than every dollar that comes in, we're going to split it 60-40.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's simple. That's I like that kind of deal. And is it structured like, would it be similar with GP, LP when it comes to the equity partners?
It is.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking.
Okay.
That's exactly,
syndication.
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Well, how much do you look for?
We need about $12 million.
12 million. All right.
Well, not anymore.
Well,
We have half that.
I'll talk to my wife.
So I only need 6 now.
Oh, you only need 6. Oh.
You know, $12 million is a lot of money. And 8 years ago when we started this, 9 years ago, whenever it was, I would have never dreamed that we would have been able to feel like we could walk in and do that.
Right.
But that's the process that we've gone through. And I feel like you have to go through that to really kind of get your hands dirty, to understand, hey, this is what it takes to do this. I don't think you can just start out going, hey, I need $10 million.
Right.
I mean, it's just like I come in here and met you today. If you had the money, you're not going to give it to me.
Right.
Neither is Bo. But once you create a track record, you have some history, proving yourself out, then it's easier. And then you start going, oh, this is, hey, we need 4 people, 6 people, 8 people that want to invest in this deal. Surprisingly, you know, we've had really good success in the last 30 to 60 days raising money on this new deal. So it's exciting to see how that's going.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it is. It's exciting.
Yeah. It makes it a lot easier when people know who you are, see your track record.
It does.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Right. So like anybody that's interested in wanting to do it, because who was the guy that was like, why don't you do it? You know, who was
the banker?
Was that the banker who said you should on your first one?
On the very first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I built the duplexes.
It was the banker said, why don't you do it?
Why don't you do it?
And
I said, I don't have the money.
I know. He's like, well, I'll give it to you.
He said, we'll loan you the money.
Yeah. And how did you know him before that?
I was brokering the deal for the 3 guys buying the lots.
Oh, gotcha.
So I was working the deal.
And you already had a relationship with this
I was
guy?
trying to make a commission.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And I still got paid my fee,
That's great.
Yeah.
which I wasn't expecting. But we'd already negotiated all that. And I just stepped into that guy's spot, basically,
Yeah.
and bought the lots and built the deal.
Did you have a previous relationship with this guy before? No. But
Never done business with him before. Never borrowed money. Never done business at that bank before.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that we kind of hit it off during the deal. Built a relationship.
Yeah.
Had a lot of things in common. So we would talk about a lot of stuff outside of the real estate deal. He had a farm, had cattle, and we'd talk about just whatever.
Gotcha.
you know?
Yeah.
And we just built a relationship.
Yeah. There's a vibe.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And he wanted
Built
the
a level
deal
of
to work
trust.
too.
He wanted the deal to work too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he felt good about you.
Yeah, these are some lots that they took back from a previous developer.
Yeah.
So that banks don't want to own property.
Right.
They want to loan money on property. They don't want to own it though.
Yeah. Right.
It's much more profitable when they loan money.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Because I'm just thinking through, like, people who want to become a developer, almost everybody thinks that. Like, how the hell am I going to get $12 million? Like, no one's going to give it to me, just like you, you know? And you had, Dad being like, just go talk to him, just go talk to him. I just, the whole point of, like, just being a good person, doing the best that you can at wherever you're at.
Right.
These doors can open up in the craziest of places.
They can.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is just thinking about, when you say be a good person, that's such a relative term for me. We were talking about some folks we know earlier before we started recording, and one of them has a bad reputation. You do one thing. You put yourself before the deal or before your investors, or you undercut something, or you just flat lie or whatever.
Yeah.
And then that never would have happened.
Right.
You know, if Blake had a reputation that you couldn't trust him,
Yeah.
you know, if that was out there in the community, that banker never would have suggested, we'll lend you the money.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
Never.
You know?
Yeah.
And so, you know, like Dad always told us, you know, your name's more valuable than gold and silver.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah.
That's right.
And it's so true.
So true.
So true.
I always think
But
that you've got one chance to do it right.
Mm.
You know, you do it wrong a few times, it's so hard to overcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you do it right the first time, you're going to be okay,
Right.
no matter what you're doing.
Yeah.
Whether it's a podcast or we're building apartments,
That's right. Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
matter. You do it right, then you're going to be okay.
And when you say do it right, like, what do you mean exactly?
What Bo was just saying, you know, putting yourself last, humbling yourself, saying, hey, this is not about me. It's got to be good for everybody.
Right.
It can't
Right.
just be good for me and bad for you all.
Yeah.
So everybody has to do good in this deal for it to work.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Always just, even if you have bad news, tell them the truth
Yeah.
and don't just sit on it for a week.
Yeah.
If you've got a $500,000 change order, tell them what's going on.
Yeah.
Don't try to hide it. It just doesn't end well.
Right.
There are phrases in real estate to that. So one of them's go ugly early.
Go ugly early. Yeah.
Like if you got bad news, like he's saying,
Go for
like,
it. Yeah.
You don't want to sit on that. You don't want to save it for later.
Yeah.
You go ugly early. Another version of that just popped in my mind and left was, like bad news is not like wine. You know, it does not get better with time.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of that same thing.
Yeah. Bad news is like milk.
Expand it.
The longer you wait, the more it curdles. Yeah. It curdles and gets sour. It just gets worse. Yeah.
I had a partner one time that he was tough, but he demanded a lot, but it was good because you knew what to expect. And even if you had something that wasn't going the way we wanted it to, hey, this is what's going on. This is what I think we need to do to deal with this.
Yeah.
98% of the time, it all worked out.
Yeah.
Maybe we didn't like that we had a change order for this or that, but it worked out. Mm-hmm. And we were able to overcome those obstacles instead of fighting about it for a week.
Right. Yeah.
You don't waste a bunch of time. Time is money.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Time is money.
Most people think when they've got a vacant apartment, it's just costing them interest. I was like, well, no, it's costing you interest plus loss of revenue. Every day goes by, that day's gone.
Yeah.
You don't get a chance to rent that apartment that day.
Right.
So you got to think about it twofold.
Yeah.
Time's very important in these deals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you said do it right, I asked for clarification on that because of like, you can't do things right when you're doing them the first time, as far as like mistakes are going to be made, right? You can't always do it right.
Do things in an excellent way.
Do things in an excellent way.
You're allowed to make mistakes.
Right. Yeah. You have to.
There's a real attitude and honesty component
Yes.
to the phrase doing it right in this
Absolutely.
context.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's right. It all comes, so for me, it all comes down to like authenticity, which
Sure.
I heard a really cool interpretation of what that is, which is authenticity is when you're you're speaking the truth and you believe what you're saying.
Absolutely.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, that's a really interesting way to put it. Where you're not trying to, blow smoke or fake.
Put the sales pitch on them.
That's right. Yeah.
No.
Like you can smell that from a mile away.
Yeah.
Sweet. Cool.
Well, Blake, you want to give him a pop quiz?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, so here's how this works. We're going to ask him 5 questions.
Okay.
It can be about what we've talked about today or anything else. We can throw him curveballs. As our guest, you're going to ask question 1, 3, and 5, kind of alternate back and forth, and we'll see how he does. All right? So
I get to go first.
you get to go first. So question 1.
Let's start off with an easy one.
Okay.
Debt service coverage ratio. How do you calculate that?
NOI divided by the annual debt service.
Nicely put.
There we go.
Very good.
Very good.
Baby!
All right.
I'm glad that came to me.
All right. Question 2. Well, that was a gimme. You're being really nice.
Oh, yeah, I
to
was
him.
being nice to him.
Yeah.
Blake said something I thought was insightful. Mm-hmm. And he said there are 3 things that can be done when you develop, and you only get to get 2 of them.
Yes.
What were the three?
Quality, speed, and price.
Yeah, that's
Look at you.
pretty good.
Yeah. It's the same thing in the creative field. If you're making videos or making,
Right.
anything, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can get two of them, quality, speed, or and price. Yeah.
We on to question 3.
What? Yes.
Yeah, we are.
Question 3.
What are linkages?
Linkages is the how you get to one place to the other. So the road that leads to the school, public transportation from where you're at to to get to downtown, for instance. It's those pathways to the stuff you want to go to from your.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad description of that in a literal sense. But
Okay.
linkages are also metaphorical. They're the demand drivers for a site. How close, and roads actually connect most of this stuff. But
Yeah.
like
Okay.
metaphorically speaking, it's like, what school system am I in?
Yeah. Okay.
Don't necessarily care what roads they have to take to get there. That
Yeah.
can play a factor. But like, what school system am I in? How long does it take me to get to work?
Gotcha, okay.
Where's my favorite grocery store in comparison to
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not as literal as what I said, or it's beyond that.
Yeah.
What you said isn't wrong.
Right,
But,
right.
Yeah, it's a little bit more than that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Nice.
I
I think
learned
you're
some-
3 for 3 at this
I'm
point.
3 for 3. That's
Look
right.
at you.
Okay. Name. All right, I'm going to try to make this a little bit harder.
Please.
Name 4 things that your civil engineer will do for you when you develop a property.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
Blake can be the arbiter of this answer.
Sure. Well, landscaping that popped out to me, right? Landscaping, right? The sidewalks, but that's like really specific.
Very specific.
And
This is why Timmy takes notes.
Yeah.
I wondered why he was taking notes.
Oh yeah, this for this. It's for this. Where's the flow? Where's the flow go? Right, the water.
Yeah, the topo. Where's the site going to drain to?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
What is that word you were saying?
Topography.
Oh, topo.
Yeah.
Topo. Utility.
Utilities.
Utilities. And was utilities a part of like the flood water? Where does that go as well? Or is that different?
At worst, tangential. I mean, like
Storm
stormwater,
runoff,
drain. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Would that be a fourth one? Yeah.
I would put it in your utility plan.
That's
Maybe-
all I get. That's all I
Maybe
get.
grading plan.
Grading.
Yeah.
Like the
How
dirt
you're
work.
leveling the site out.
Oh,
How you're
yeah.
doing all your earthwork,
Oh, okay.
moving dirt.
Yeah, moving dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, so moving dirt.
All the
which
fun
good.
stuff that,
Yeah.
go move the dirt.
you talk about the fun stuff, moving dirt. My oldest son is 22, and his first sentence was, "Are the tractors working today?"
Really?
Really?
That was really cute, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
2-year-old version of "Tractors working today."
Yeah,
Kinda,
right.
Like it was all kind of.
Yeah.
But there was a subdivision being built right behind our house at the time,
Even if the tractor
and
was
so
working.
the earth movers, and they were doing the grading plan and putting in the street and all that stuff,
yeah.
and so
Best.
that was kind of his first sentence was,
Tractor work today?
"Are the tractors working
Tractors.
today?"
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh, that's cool.
It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
forgotten about that. All right, so that was question 4.
3.
No, I've asked 2 questions, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is question 5.
Oh, yeah.
That's question 5.
Yeah, question 5.
The background music's getting me.
He puts the background music in post.
We could do it right now. No, that's birds.
Yeah.
Birds or crickets or what?
Let's go way back on this one. What year did I say that I got my real estate license?
Oh, good
We're
one.
going way back.
Yeah. I don't even think I wrote this down. Let's see. Oh, man. I got like 2000. Something happened in 2003. Was that it?
There you go. You got it. You got it.
Yeah. That was a hard one.
That was
You
good.
didn't even take a note
That
on
was
that.
obscure.
No, I didn't. Yeah,
that
I don't
was,
know. It's crazy. It popped in my head. I thought it. I know why. I think I know why. Because I was surprised at how long ago that was,
Yeah.
and how young you look.
I appreciate that.
I was like, 2003. Wow.
yeah.
I started when I was 12.
Yeah. That's great. Well, cool. That was 5 for 5. I'd say almost.
Yeah. I
How often does that happen? How often does the 5 for 5?
Often.
Pretty often.
Look at you.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good.
And I don't know that you've ever done worse than 3 for 5.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, I'm not surprised anymore that he gets them.
Yeah.
I used to be. I was like, holy moly, he was really listening.
where'd he come up with that?
No, it's on the regular now.
I'm really trying to learn. Like, my goal is to get so good and know so much about commercial real estate that I've got the ammo to make fun of people in commercial real estate.
What year did you get your CCIM designation? We haven't even talked about that.
2007,
Okay.
I think.
I was at 2010.
What led you to do CCIM?
If I remember right, I took my intro class in Louisville in 2006, like November of 2006. Just to go check it out. I got really intrigued by it. It's like, oh, this is like.
Do you remember who taught it?
Yeah, I do. He was a developer in Louisville, Larry Baumgartner.
Yep. He taught mine 2 years ahead, 2 years before that.
Yeah, Larry, and then
November of 04.
the guy that was his partner then. Oh gosh, he's still a developer there now. They built a lot of Walgreens and Winn-Dixie. That's some of the stories he told at that time. But I got very intrigued by the education. And I was just like, oh, wow, this is like me going to get my master's. Because after college, I didn't do any work after that, didn't do any graduate work. So I was like, this could be me getting my master's. And that's really what it was for me.
Yeah.
And I've told people, I've encouraged people afterwards, like, hey, go take the classes. Even if you don't do the portfolio and get your designation, go at a minimum, take your classes.
Yeah.
And I like to tell people that I got more out of that. I learned more during those 4 classes than I did in my college econ class or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, it applied to me, and I just took off with it. I just thought this is great. So I kind of took it not from a brokerage standpoint and applied it, but I've applied it from a development standpoint.
Wow.
We still use the cash flow models and time value and money calculations and all of these things in what we're doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We hear that over and over. Everybody. Every single person that does CCIM comes out and they're like, whoa. Just the information is so specific to what.
Is.
Yeah.
So I've got an employee that I think is going to take Bo's 102 class in Louisville this fall. Is that right? November?
I got to tell you about this.
Okay.
Because it looks like we've worked it out that the course, I'm trying to decide, it's tentatively in September right now.
Okay.
We're probably a week away from really being able to set the dates, and it'll go up on the website and stuff. But we're going to hold it in Angel's Envy Distillery.
Oh, gosh.
The class is going to be in the distillery.
I'm going to come take it again.
And it is so, hey, I'll tell you ought to come take it again, because you could, like, life with the pen, like, designees can take 1 course a year at a seriously discounted rate.
Yeah.
And I'm going to bring in, looks like my buddy Michael Hieronymus is going to come in and teach it with me. So it's going to be riddled with the most cutting edge AI applications in commercial real estate.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
But the room has this big old Angel's Envy bar on the back wall of the room. Yeah. All the AV is there. We're going to build in like a tour of the distillery for the class. There's going to be a networking event. For the whole chapter there in the distillery.
Oh my God.
That's cool.
It's going to be sweet. And ideally, I want to make Louisville, Kentucky the coolest possible place to take a CCIM course.
Well, that's a good start.
Because like that is uniquely Kentucky.
It is. Yeah. Absolutely.
Like there are distilleries other places, but like, man, especially for the bourbon industry, like Kentucky is just known for that. And to have a location, and the thing about Angel's Envy that's so cool is it's right downtown. So it's close to everything.
Yeah.
A lot of these other like awesome distilleries, it'd be great to have it, but it's like, 30 minutes outside Louisville or in Frankfurt, and some locations it'd be just more difficult to hold a class. But this one's right across the street from the ballpark, like the Louisville Bats ballpark, and really, really cool.
That's
a huge announcement that just dropped on the podcast today.
I know that is.
And by the time
like your class is going to fit.
I hope everybody's listening.
By the time it airs, it'll be confirmed. If this all falls through, because I'm at the 11th hour negotiating the deal to have it there, then we'll just cut this section out.
Okay, great. Okay, cool.
But yeah, it's going to be.
I hope it doesn't get cut out.
Me too.
No, that's
cool.
That is so cool, man. And I want to go.
We can have 70 students in that room.
Wow.
Now, I don't know what average size courses are. 101 are the biggest classes because most people start with, if they're just going to take one, they generally take 101. I would submit that if you're just going to take one, you should take 102. But you can start with either one of those courses. But 101, just on average nationally, seems to have the larger classes. 102 is probably, well, the other three courses are probably around the same. But when I teach, depending on where it is, generally there's 17 to 25 students. Sometimes we'll have up to 40, like in a large market like Atlanta or something like that. But but in Kentucky, we probably average 12 to 18 students. That's a good size class.
Yeah.
Right. That size class works out for everybody. But I'd love to have people fighting over, I'm going to go to Kentucky. I'm going to take a course in a distillery. I'd love to have 50, 60 students in a class.
I know.
That'd be so cool. Like, come to Kentucky to take a course.
Yes,
And most people are thinking, man, if I'm going to travel to take a course, I'm going to go to San Diego, or I'm going to go to Miami, or I'm going to go to somewhere cool. Hawaii's far.
Yeah, it's far.
But if you do that in September, I mean, they run it at Keeneland during September. So somebody could come in a weekend early or stay a weekend to go actually experience the other part of Kentucky.
Yeah, the horse racing.
Horse racing.
Yeah, that's right. This is a
you
good.
gotta-
We're selling this thing hard.
That's right.
I'm telling you, I'm so excited about this. I can barely stand it because, like, normally we do the courses in like office space or in some places I'll go teach and we're in a hotel.
Yeah.
Those work fine.
Yeah.
Okay. But there's nothing special about those venues, and I think there's an opportunity to take the cool factor of the courses up a notch, especially if you live in a place that has something seriously unique and cool. And for us, it's the bourbon industry.
Yeah.
So
And the horses.
I'm excited
And
about that.
you get to do it with Michael Hieronymus.
Yeah, if we can work that out, then he'll come in.
I hope it does, because that's a cool addition to 102, a modernized, just to have a little bit of that AI with it. That's
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I am too. That sounds really amazing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It'll be.
Yeah, that's great. Well, if you're listening on YouTube, watching on YouTube, hit subscribe, ding that little bell. Let us know in the comments what you want Bo to teach me, because I would love to learn what you want to learn. And we're on social media at Commercially Speaking, on X at ComSpeakPod. Do you use a virtual executive assistant or have an executive assistant?
I do not.
No, you don't?
I haven't made it there yet.
You haven't yet?
We've talked about it.
We talked about it.
Oh, man.
He mentioned that to me one day.
Yeah.
I asked like 15 minutes worth of questions.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. It's
I was intrigued.
Yeah, superpowershq.com. Superpowershq.com/commercially speaking. For those in the back, superpowershq.com/commercially speaking. They will set you up. They will answer all the questions. They'll show you how easy it is to get an executive assistant. And not only that, but we love Alice. We love Alice so much. We say bye to Alice on the end of every podcast. It's Bo's executive assistant. And she is now in the process of starting to train other executive assistants for commercially. There's talks about that, right?
Well, yeah, it turns out that a lot of the commercial real estate industry is starting to use Superpowers HQ to get an executive assistant. And they're like, hey, we want an Alice.
Yeah.
And so they've reached out to us a little bit, and they're like, hey, do you mind if Alice kind of shares with some of these other executive assistants what she does with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know that.
That's cool.
It's probably overstated that she's training like the commercial real estate division of Superpowers HQ and how to serve it. But they were like, hey, do you mind if she shares? No problem. Yeah.
And which is so amazing.
So you can't have Alice, but you can get somebody like an Alice.
That's right. It's just changed Bo's life. It's changed your life since you've got
it really has.
Yeah. Your health, even, like everything.
Totally.
And time management. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
We gotta get Alice.
Yeah, that's right.
Get it.
So you got to go to superpowershq.com/commercially speaking. And we've got a newsletter that comes out every Thursday.
We do. And you can go to subscribe.wgbarron.com to subscribe. In that newsletter, it's once a week, shoot you an email, and it's a curated newsletter full of links to articles and little blurbs on anything from negotiation to leadership, company culture, all that stuff I like to read about and geek out. It also contains the weekly episode of our podcast.
That's
so
right.
you never have to miss an episode.
Yep. At the
and some other things. Yep.
That's right. The first episode of this season 2, we had Wes Gay on. Wes Gay, he is a marketing, he is incredible about storytelling and marketing. He keeps it simple, and he shows you how to keep it simple. And you all are working on something.
Like,
here.
listen to what we're doing.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you, because I've told them a couple times now, but I'll tell you. We're going to create a CRE marketing mastermind, about a 7-week, 7-session deal over the course of about 3 months. Just going to take 40 people through, and you're going to end up with a year's plan, a year's marketing plan. And the issue with commercial real estate, and you know this, like, we're not good at marketing.
No, not at all.
Nobody there are some outliers that do this well, but normal is bad. And what we deal with is, like, everybody's telling us what to do, and so we have this avalanche of advice.
Absolutely.
And we don't know what works, what doesn't. Like, how many people have told you that you need to get on social media? Does that actually work? Don't want to figure out the trial and error and the brain damage of all that stuff. And so Wes is a pro at this stuff, and so we're working out a program that just streamlines the whole thing. A lot of AI tools involved in this as well. And, like, how do I actually market in such a way where people, the people that I want to know who I am, what your company can do, and you can actually attract your ideal prospect to you.
Yeah.
That's what marketing is supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then cut away everything else that you don't have to worry about, so you can go sell or you can go run your company.
Right.
And so if you're interested in that, you can go to wesgay.com/CS. And right now there's a wait list up. We're going to launch that in May, but more information to come.
Blake, if anybody needs some development work or needs to needs your services at all, how can they find you?
TSPKY.com.
TSPKY.com.
That's The Southern Partners, which is our development company. KentuckyKY.com.
Oh, that's the Southern Partners. Yeah, baby.
That's right.
Yeah, Kentucky. Blake, thanks for being on here. This is great.
Thanks for having me. I've enjoyed
this
it.
is really great.
Fantastic.
Cool. We'll see you all next Monday.
All right.
Yeah, love you, brother.
Love you, man.
Bye, Alice.
Bye, Alice.
You say bye to Alice?
Bye, Alice.
Yeah.